All right, guys. Yandere Dev. That guy is weird. I guess that's all I'll say. Anyway, there's actually a video here. It's called Yandere Dev, 2 Decades of Degeneracy. And it's only a week old from Jormy49. I'm curious about, like, the history. I'm curious. Let's see what we got here.
Day nearly 10 years ago, in the deepest, dankest corners of the internet, and by that, I mean 4chan's video game board, a post would be made asking if the board users would be interested in playing something the poster termed a, quote, Yandere simulator.
You know that they said yes. People on 4chan are a little sussy, you know? Even before all the controversy, we're talking, what was this game? What was this game supposed to be? Oh, yeah, you play as some guy going around flirting with high schoolers. Whoa, what a game! Oh my god, EDP simulator.
A game where you play as an anime girl so obsessed with
you're the anime girl. Either way,
her love interest.
You're an anime you're a teenager. You play as a teenager obsessed with a boy. It's weird.
Senpai. That she goes on a quest in order to surreptitiously kill all of his potential girlfriends without revealing to him.
And you take pictures of their panties.
Her psychopathic nature. We're only one sentence into this script, and I'm already getting flashbacks to my last video. This post, which initially seemed innocuous, would eventually trigger a series of events resulting in a never-ending whirlwind of false promises, cringe, and disgusting allegations, as well as lead directly to the,
in my opinion, the cringe is the biggest deal.
Unearthing of the creator's disgusting.
You could be a predator, but cringe? Come on.
Internet behavior going back more than a decade. So buckle up, Jormy 49ers, because we're about to go in deep. Deeper than we've ever gone before.
Oh shit.
Deep into a story absolutely chock full of the delicious and nutritious cringe, memes, and degeneracy the Jormy 49ers so love to gorge themselves on. This is the tale of the horrific and painfully slow decline of Alex Mann, the Yandere developer.
If he had just kept working on the game, nobody would have cared. Like his weird audience would have still been like, yeah, he's a fucking creep, but at least the game's out.
Before we truly get into this video, it's time for a classic Jormy 49 disclaimer. As many of you may have noticed from what I said in that introduction, or from anything you may have seen online about Yandere Dev in the past few months, he's been accused of some very serious things, and some people may find descriptions of them disturbing. I won't be going incredibly in-
Oh, we're gonna get trigger warning, guys. Pretty cool.
Depth on each and every event, but I will be bringing up the allegations. Just know that, at every point which might be disturbing, I will offer a timestamp in the description for anyone who wants to skip to the next-
Ew, trigger warnings are cringe! I'm just busting chops, dude.
Section, as always. And once again, any events described are reflections of other people's opinions, not mine.
Okay, thanks, brother.
And also, thank you so much for the support, Jormy 49ers. It brings me such joy knowing that the Jormy 49 army is now over 10,000 strong, with one of my videos literally having over 250,000 views.
Ah, good for you, man. That's actually a good accomplishment.
It's mind-boggling.
I'd brag about that too if I was a good content creator. Unfortunately, here I am.
To me, but thank you all so much. And by the way, I wasn't insulting LEGO City Undercover. I was saying it's silly for someone who loves it so much to be saying cuss words on Twitter.
What? I feel like there's some lore here we don't understand, but that's fine. Let's just get to the...
But no, with all that out of the way.
I guess this guy doesn't like cursing. They're very violent. Stop saying cuss words, guys.
Let's get into the literal 2 decades of unhinged and ridiculous behavior that led Alex Mann to become one of the internet's most notorious and controversial figures.
All right, I'm ready for it, baby.
The format of this video is something I debated for a while, simply because there's just so much to cover. What I ultimately decided is that I would chronicle the overall plotline of our lascivious villain's online life in chronological order, not in order of when each thing about him was discovered. This means I'll be starting long before Alex was known as Yandere Dev, because, well, there was no Yandere.
I thought his name was Yandere.
To be the dev of.
Devin.
Because of this, though, I figured I would provide this background section to introduce the situation as a whole and tell you why you should even care about this crazy plotline more wacky than any Marvel villain's backstory.
Oh shit.
See, Yandere Simulator, the
I don't really know how wacky that is, but
game Yandere Dev is obviously famous for, was at one point certainly one of the internet's most anticipated video game releases ever. I don't think I can overstate the hype this game had behind it.
Yeah, you know what's a pretty anticipated? A good Pokemon game? Listen, I feel like all Pokemon has to do is release their own Power World game, and boom, Power World dies. People want Pokemon. I mean, like, people want to see, they want Pokemon. I don't know why they're not working on that.
After it managed to worm its way into the mainstream. The demo build was played by YouTube golden boys like Markiplier, PewDiePie, and Jacksepticeye, whose young and
PewDiePie?
impressionable fan bases immediately started chomping at the Alex Man bit for more. Just to put the YouTube cultural zeitgeist of this era more into perspective for you, my dear Joe My 49ers, this was the same year that Five Nights at Freddy's was released.
Oh, Five Nights at Fazbear.
And then immediately
Freddy Fazbear, dude, what the fuck?
erupted into fame, very similarly catapulted by our YouTube darlings, whose playthroughs achieved similar views to their Yandere Simulator playthroughs. So, in the same year alone, we had two dark indie games made by single-person development teams, launched into the mainstream spotlight by content creators, and immediately given a free shot at a guaranteed audience for their game. And now, in the present day, we have one largely forgotten developer whose legacy will more likely than not consist of an endless stream of grievances and allegations. And we have $1 billion franchise consisting of 10 plus games, multiple...
I guess it's good for whatever developer was going to work with Yandere Dev that they dodged that bullet because he was so lazy.
book series, and a freaking Hollywood movie. Obviously, that comparison isn't entirely fair. I understand that...
Yeah, but have you guys heard Scott Coffin? He supported Trump. Basically a predator, am I right?
It's probably easier to develop a game that takes up less than a gigabyte of storage than it is to complete Yandere Simulator. Although if we're accounting for the extremely convoluted lore, coming up with FNAF gets a lot more time consuming. Factor in the fact that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 came out literally 3 months after the first game, and we can understand just how monstrous Scott Cawthon's work ethic really is. Perhaps it's unfair to compare anyone to that. But it remains undeniable that Yandere Dev was handed success on a literal silver platter during this era. He was able to start development on his dream project full-time while subsisting off of Patreon donations from people desperate to see it come to fruition.
Yeah, weirdos. Okay, let's be real here.
This would become the golden age, and there would be...
I wish somebody was obsessed with me. That's what it is. It's a bunch of like, it's just like those weird animes that are like, oh, I'm not very popular. I wish that, let's make it so that the unpopular guy is in a room full of girls always that are super obsessed with him because I can't say hello to a girl. And I have too high of expectations for what I deserve, even though I won't shower, and I'm really racist and homophobic and sexist. It's like, you know, you have to listen. Listen, incels, settle for a fat girl. They're the best anyway. What are you doing?
Be few tremors in Yandere Dev's ironclad rule as he sat upon the throne of the internet's good graces. However, come 2017 and 2018, things wouldn't remain peaceful for much longer.
What?
A combination of horrendous programming and development choices on Alex's part, a few high-profile memes poking fun at him, and the unveiling of his disturbing and degenerate past internet behavior led to a fall
I feel like that last one was probably the most impactful thing of all of them.
from stardom that would not be handled gracefully. This led Alex to be labeled by many as a quote-unquote lol cow, a target for trolling and
Just like Hassan Piker.
harassment by those who think they can milk him
Ooh.
for lols.
That's kind of kinky.
From this point onward, his online following would diminish greatly, and he basically lost all respect both as an online figure and as a game developer. However, he didn't entirely lose his following. There still remained those who had come to care for him, and genuinely hoped he would be able to publish something, anything, after so much development. And it was amidst this limbo, which went on for years, where he was constantly memed on and criticized online, that some truly ugly allegations would rear their head.
Damn.
In September of 2023, a video was posted by YouTuber Ali MCC that outlined various conversations across Snapchat and Discord involving Alex, who, mind you, is a 35-year-old man.
Jesus Christ. You gotta be some kind of... I mean, I guess I'm not surprised that the 35-year-old man who made an anime simulator about how a high school girl was infatuated with him. I'm not exactly surprised that he's talking to people under the age of 18. Doesn't make it appropriate, but this guy is like a next level loser. But yeah, dude. Okay.
At this point, speaking inappropriately with, allegedly, a 16-year-old girl.
Oh, Jesus.
I say allegedly, but in January of this year, 2024, Yandere Dev actually posted an apology addressing these allegations.
Wasn't as much of an apology as it was like a I'm a victim kind of a thing, but yeah, sure.
And, well, not many denials were made. This led most people to believe the allegations are completely correct, and it also led to the apology being memed to death until it was deleted literally less than a week later.
Oh, he deleted it already? That's funny.
With that brief overview out of the way, we're ready for a deep dive. I'm going to go through each of these outlined eras: the past era, pre-Yandere Dev, the golden age, and finally the downfall, and give the Jormy 49ers a breakdown of the most notable events, deplorable
Oh, we're still in the introduction of the video? What the fuck?
accusations, and of course, horrendous cringe.
I feel like this video got introduced like twice already.
Are you ready?
I'm ready,
And
baby.
of course, timestamps will be in the description. So if
I'm
a
ready to
particular era
game.
is not what you're looking for, feel free to skip to the next. With
I'm looking for
that
all of them, dude.
finally out of the way, let's truly begin. In the earlier days of Alex's internet behavior, he exhibited an extremely specific and single-minded obsession with the similarities between the anime series Neon Genesis Evangelion and its lesser-known peer, Ra Zifan.
You know what's interesting? I've never seen either of those ever. People say Neon Genesis is so good. I've never watched it. I never have. I'm sorry, guys. Even on Adult Swim when I was younger. I'm so sorry.
Just as I, Jormy49, am clearly obsessed with being the best and most engaging edutainment creator on the entire internet, Alex was so enamored with the idea of spreading the word about how similar these two anime were that, on basically every site he used, he named himself Eva Zifan, Zifan Eva, Neon Eva Zifan, or some other amalgamation of the two animes' names.
Gotcha. So this guy's kind of a loser. Okay.
He also
What a
began to
shocker.
spam 4chan with cherry-picked screenshots showing the similarities, some of which got him insulted due to a clear lack of critical thinking. Like the
You think that this guy would have got bullied enough on 4chan and realized that maybe he should stop talking about this stuff?
time he mistook what is clearly a bus as a train in order to make his point stick better. The epitome of this obsession was when he created an entire website designed to house more than 400 images
Oh my
showing the
God.
similarities between the two anime, for the benefit of basically nobody.
Why? Like, why do this? Like, is it highly contested in the fucking nerd dork community that that these two are like not similar? Are people debate that? What is the point of it? I don't get it.
I don't know who was really viewing this site.
Me.
Now, obviously, I'm not expecting you all to care about Alex's random obsession with the similarities between these anime. It has a significance beyond just being kind of weird. And the significance is that it was actually part of the way internet dwellers were able to link all of these accounts to the Yandere Dev we know
Ah, that makes sense. Okay.
today. See, the fact that Alex was so consistently making these two anime part of his branding made it quite simple to connect the dots of his online activity across various sites, some of which being 4chan, Gaia Online, fanfiction.net, and most notably, Mogulus, which would later become livestream.com, where he entered the burgeoning market of online live streaming. And it also helped us link all of this activity to him in the current day, because he still hasn't let this go. As if the heavens aligned to allow Alex the ability to spread this strange esoteric anime knowledge to the world, in 2018,
Is he? Is he like autistic or something? What is this? Why is this so? Why is this so interesting and compelling to him to let people know about this? I don't get it.
years after he stopped using all these accounts, he was featured on the YouTube channel Did You Know Anime to narrate their episode on Ra Zifan. And what do you know it, he spent a long time talking about how similar Ra Zifan is to Evangelion.
He must love that knowledge. He must, it's probably annoying if you're a family member of this guy. He probably would just constantly tell people this shit all the time at family parties. It's probably exhausting.
Nothing else, this guy is consistent. But I digress. So now, I've talked
My favorite anime is Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's my favorite one.
a lot about how we knew these accounts belonged to Alex. But what exactly happened that was significant enough that people today still care? I mean, the last time these accounts were truly active was pre-Yandere Simulator era, which was nearly 10 years ago now. Well, given the current status of
Why autism can't people just be weird? That's a good point. You know what? I appreciate that point. That's a good point. You're right. He's just weird. My bad. That's my bad.
Alex's reputation and the intense scrutiny he's been facing for years now,
Is that Detective Pikachu? I remember that movie wasn't too bad. How come all the hype died?
it led people to scrutinize the entirety of his online behavior. And what they found, well, it was telling. The most significant of Alex's online activity occurred on the sites that I mentioned before. The forum site Gaia Online, where he chronicled his warped worldview and his extreme difficulties in getting a girlfriend. Fanfiction.net, where he uploaded some truly atrocious tales that would
Like, what does that mean? Like, OC? Some kind of a story about weird shit about girls?
shake even the most die-hard Coffin of Andy and Laylee fan. The Loser's
You're convinced I've never had an anime club card? Shut the fuck up, dude.
Message Board, a forum for a webcomic where he fought the fan base about how unattractive he finds quote-unquote sluts, and how his
Oh my god. Come on, dude. Why wouldn't you love sluts? You might not want to date one, but wouldn't you want to jerk off to them? You know what I mean?
ideal girlfriend would be, quote, youthful, babyish, and childlike.
Youthful, babyish, and childlike. Holy shit. The trifecta. The biggest 3 red flags anyone could ever tell us. Oh my god.
And as we've already established, he was active on 4chan and the streaming site Moculus. I'll now go through the most significant findings from each of his sites in the same order I just outlined, and we can potentially begin to understand the Joker-like origins of the man who became the internet's most controversial video game developer. Starting with Gaia Online, this site was most notable for hosting an extreme amount of cringe and down bad posts from Alex.
Damn. No self-awareness, huh?
Notably, he got in the habit of consistently posting pictures of his face
Oh, dude, he's giving us a side profile? Dude, you have to start mewing, brother.
with full-on rocket scientist level analyses of his features and how those must
Why?
have led
Oh, is he talking about how like he has perfect features? Why don't girls like him?
girls to find him unattractive, as no girl had ever professed her love for him.
Damn.
He actually became somewhat infamous for this, with him introducing pictures of his face with prompts like, "I'm afraid I have a creepy facial structure," and "I have an ugly face and poor fashion sense."
True.
Though he always makes sure to emphasize
I mean, look at the fucking hat he's wearing, dude. Why would you wear that? You can't wear a hat like that and ask women to want to fuck you. It's just impossible. You can't do it. All right? Unless you're like super attractive and you're like trying to be a steampunk nerd. You really can't pull that shit off, man.
how nice and sweet he is as a person,
I'm so nice. Why won't you fuck me, bitch?
to show that what he's
I'm
really
good
doing
enough for
is
you.
fishing for compliments. Ultimately, this behavior was harmless. I mean, it was cringe and unnecessary, but harmless nonetheless. That is, until his desperation got the best of him, and he posted a photo of another user thirsting over her and saying how he, quote, would trade
I believe on 4chan they call these cum tributes. I don't know what it means, but that's what they call them.
anything in the world for the chance to kiss a girl like that.
Oh my
And
god.
then she turned out to be a high schooler, while he
Oh lord.
himself was already a legal adult.
All right. Well, if you didn't know, maybe she's 17 and looks like she could be 18, but still, what are you doing, dude? Telling people you want youthful-looking people is a little bizarre, dude.
Keep in mind, this was only 2008, and he was already a full-grown man. He would have been either 19 or 20 years old at this point.
God.
Overall, this is
Oh. So if he's 19 and she's like 17, what? Oh god, who cares? How old is this supposed high schooler?
once again effectively harmless, because there's no way to prove Alex knew how old this girl was, and honestly it's likely he didn't. But it's important to keep in mind going forward. On fanfiction.net, Alex continued his worrying behavior by posting disturbing tales such as "I am your slave" and "Life of a sex slave." These are some of his more infamous creations, so I'm sure anyone who has been following the drama for any period of time has
Maybe he's into a little CNC, guys.
heard of these. But trust me, don't try reading either of these. They are horrendous. Much worse than I expected, even given the names. Just to really desincentivize anyone from going to find these, one of the tamest lines from The Life of a Sex Slave is, "I am a toy, and my owner plays with me every day."
Why would you make this public? Some people are into weird shit like this, but why would you tell people about this? I think he wanted it to. He probably thought it was like mysterious and sexy. What year was it? Was it around the time where that one book came out that all like the girls would read? Those weirdos, like 50 Shades of Grey. And maybe he wanted to be like, oh, I'm gonna be sexy like that guy. Ooh.
I would meme on it some more and make some more jokes about the lines, but it's honestly really depressing, trust me.
Okay.
Moving on, Alex's behavior on the loser's message board continued multiple worrying trends exhibited in his previous conduct. However, the most notable difference here was that this was the first time he made an attempt to explain his odd remarks and warped worldview. In the aftermath of a large-scale argument with the site's resident posters about his intense dislike of, as he puts it, sluts, Alex
Wait, they were arguing with him? Oh my god.
explains to another user the reason his perspective is so different from everyone else's. According to him, he was extremely reserved and never had a normal high school or even middle school experience.
Was he homeschooled? That makes so much sense as to why he's so socially fucking awkward.
As he puts it, quote, "Directly after elementary school, I was entered into an independent study program. It's a lot like homeschooling. I do all of my schoolwork at home, and once a week I turn the work in to a teacher at my program's local building. I never had a chance to experience junior high or high school. I never found out what the quote-unquote real world was really like.
Does that make sense?
This is why, for the longest time,
People who are homeschooled, there are some homeschool programs that My understanding is it's a collection of people who want to be homeschooled. So they basically, I guess they just have an issue with the system, man. They just have like an issue with like the system, bro. So I get that if you have a bunch of different kids together getting homeschooled and you're getting decent curriculum, because this way you can interact with people outside of your school or you're inside of your outside of your house. But if you don't do that, man, I feel like you get so stunted. You just don't know how to interact with people. It's pathetic. It's terrible, you know?
I believe that the world was no different than it was in elementary school, or in the various forms of media that I enjoyed. I watched countless box sets of anime.
He probably wouldn't have watched as much anime if you went to a regular school, because he would be bullied a sufficient amount.
And played through a countless number of video games. Coupled with my only worldly experiences in elementary school, this did not paint a very good picture of what the world is like for me. I'm not going to say it myself, but if someone wants to comment average Redditor backstory, I will smack a like on it. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the average Redditor backstory.
Now, with the added context that Alex was, honestly, basically raised on anime and video games, this next part makes a little more sense. Because, as I mentioned earlier...
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. You had, like, Dragon Ball characters, Master Roshi, simping after 14-year-old Boma, so, you know.
Alex tops off this already pretty horrendous and depressing anime villain origin story with a description of his ideal girlfriend. And let's just say, if you came here knowing the allegations he's faced, his descriptors won't necessarily surprise you.
I'm ready for it.
Obviously, I already mentioned adjectives like youthful, babyish, and childlike, but let's not forget naive, trusting, and malleable.
No, that's even worse. I thought that the young comments were bad enough. How do you get it even worse? Basically, he's looking for a young girl, easy to manipulate. That's insane. Oh my god, it's so fucked up, bro. He actually might be like a legitimate predator. That's crazy. He's not just attracted to young girls. He's attracted to girls that are very easy to manipulate. I want a girl that's like really dumb and fucking malleable.
All of which suggest a desire to have control over someone's thoughts and
actions.
It's
weird.
Overall, Alex was ultimately harassed off the site, rightfully so.
Thank
As
God.
his activity there culminated in a big meltdown in which he absolutely loses it and goes full Reddit scorched earth on the loser's fan base.
Oh my God.
I'm so out of here. I've totally demolished all of you in debate 1,000 times.
Based.
If I should choose to
epic debate pervert.
Honor your stupid rambling by calling it debate. You're all idiots. You're nothing like anyone else I've ever known, and none of you are...
This guy is truly a top-class gentleman.
...good asset to this planet or going anywhere in life. You all fail. Hard.
Damn.
I should have expected nothing less when I came to a forum for a, quote, punk-ass cynical teenager.
Jesus!
Speaking of the comic...
Well, he's better than them because he's an adult at that point.
...itself, it has turned to bull, and it's been dead for a long time
Oh my
now.
God.
I'm so through with all of you. There's not even a reason to continue typing. What's important is that I came, I kicked your asses,
I came,
and now I'm over this worthless hole of a forum. Eva out.
Damn.
With all of this background
Eva? Is that a character from an anime too?
out of the way, we can see somewhat of a pattern that had developed in Alex's behavior. Even at this
He's simply better than us. That's the pattern I've
stage
noticed.
in his life. He would say controversial and deplorable things, and then, when called out for it, he would default to either describing his difficult childhood circumstances or lashing out with insults and refusing to let anyone else get the last word. So now, with
I mean, it's a website. I feel like anybody can just keep typing, no? Go back and forth.
it clearly established that Alex was not fit to handle an online platform, he decided to begin his live streaming career on the website Mogulus, which was just starting to gain traffic at that period in time. And given that he was one of the first streamers on the site to have actually a halfway decent streaming equipment, and that he constantly spammed 4chan with links to his stream,
I mean, he probably had money from being homeschooled or whatever. So, you know, what I mean by that is that I feel like the only people who could really afford homeschooling have a lot of money.
actually managed to accrue somewhat of an audience. Now, honestly, most of the stuff he got up to while streaming was just more of the same behavior we've come to expect from our smack-talking, smut-writing bad boy. For example, one thing he was absolutely infamous for was flirting with every girl that joined the stream and banning any guy who talked to them in his chat. He also became well known for his obsession with the chest size of certain Nintendo characters, to the point that he would throw a tantrum when Nintendo...
Well, it seems like he's upset they shrunk her boobs, and that's a good sign. Considering this guy seems to like very young people, the fact that he likes big boobs is a good thing.
Solo became a member.
Thank you so much for the membership. At least he's not, oh man, they made him so big. I wish they were small and young and malleable, you know?
Nintendo nerfed the breast size, which is honestly unsurprising at this point. However, there was
Why they do that? Make them bigger, dude. What the hell?
one extremely notable thing that
may have
happened on this stream, and it managed to alienate most of Alex's audience and cause them to go elsewhere for their live streaming fix.
Oh god,
And
what do
this
you do?
one is particularly disturbing. If you think you'll be triggered in any way by descriptions of
It couldn't be that bad. Let's see what we got here.
improper relationships, then I would advise you to skip to the next chapter. We're almost there regardless. But ultimately, what Alex has been accused of
He's just weird looking.
doing within this period
allegedly
is cultivating a relationship with a 14-year-old fan in his chat.
Come on, bro. What does that mean? Like when you say cultivate a relationship, you mean like she would join, he would go, "Hey, how are you?" and that's it, right? That's pretty much all that would happen. I'm pretty sure that's all it is, guys. Don't worry.
In 2017,
Don't worry.
the girl came out with a full statement on the matter, which I suggest you read if you would like any more information.
No, you
on the
tell me.
allegations. If they are true, they would paint Alex as an extremely manipulative and entitled person, given that he has supposedly said things like how he felt he deserved to have a relationship with this 14-year-old girl due to the fact that he missed out on having a girlfriend in high school.
Oh my god. Oh my god, brother. Come on.
And
Come on,
that he
dude.
immediately banned her and started speaking badly about her as soon as she decided she didn't want to be in a relationship with
You're getting pressed over a 14-year-old girl as like a 20-something-year-old? Come on, man. That's just embarrassing. Not only is it disgusting that you're even attracted to them, but the fact that you're getting that you feel the need to talk shit about them after is not only completely not self-aware, but also like pathetic. What are you doing? 14.
with him anymore. He also allegedly did more disgusting and degenerate things than this, but I won't be going into those here. There are other videos that do the allegations much more justice than I ever could. For now,
I feel like we're pretty familiar with it, so.
what's important is that we finally reached the end of the Eva Zephon age.
All right.
Alex had essentially
How old is that age?
destroyed whatever good faith that the internet had in store for him, and alienated what could have been a very lucrative career for himself as one of the internet's first online live streamers. But luckily enough, he was
Damn, he created live streaming? Wow, good for him.
about to get the opportunity of a lifetime. Not only would he be handed yet another lucrative endeavor on a silver platter, but he would also get a golden opportunity to rebrand himself, to leave behind Eva Zephon and all of the animosity towards him, and to become something new. To become the Yandere Dev.
Oh my god. The Yandingle Dev.
Now, as I briefly mentioned in the intro of this video, Yandere Simulator as a concept originated from one single post that Alex made on a whim on 4chan, which managed to pick up some steam. I mean, it wasn't completely out
Did it get picked up by Steam?
of the blue. According to Alex, he worked at a quote-unquote video game company for
What is that, GameStop?
3 years, whatever that means.
Probably a GameStop. Probably worked at GameStop. Probably what it means.
So he supposedly had development experience and simply wanted to see if it would be feasible to make his dream project on his own. And, well, long story short, it was feasible. People seem genuinely interested in the idea of playing as a schoolgirl yandere, which is, as Alex puts it, a girl who loves a boy so much that she is willing to threaten, harm, or kill any other girl who seems interested in her.
It's so interesting because all these people, or at least most of them, they're individuals who simply don't ask girls out. So they're basically, their desire is, I am so socially awkward and so unwilling to message a girl that I need the girl to be obsessively interested in me to the point where they'll ask me out over and over and over again. It's like, bro, what the hell? Like, just ask the girl out.
Doing whatever it takes to worm
Well, the 14-year-old rejected me, so what else am I supposed to do?
their way into Senpai's arms, even if that means killing their competition.
Okay.
Of course, there were people who fought back against the concept, calling it creepy for a grown man to be developing a
Yes,
game where
yes, exactly. That's why I don't understand how it got any like traction in the first place. So weird.
this is the premise. I'll leave the judgments up to the Jormy 49ers. But what is undeniable is that Yandere Simulator was a hit, especially starting in March of 2015, about a year after the project's inception, when PewDiePie uploaded his first playthrough of
Oh god, PewDiePie's a predator.
a demo version of the game. This was followed shortly by Jacksepticeye and Markiplier uploading their playthroughs, with Markiplier's in particular going absolutely viral, even sprouting a few channel memes
PewDiePie's going that like 10 million. What the hell does absolutely viral mean?
like Boobs Mackenzie. It was at this point that Alex, who was now going by Yandere Dev, was reassured that this was a worthwhile idea. He established a website specifically for posting updates on the game's progress. He made multiple YouTube channels for the same purpose. And in 2016, he opened a Patreon so he could continue developing the game full-time without worrying about needing to do other work in order to make money.
Smart guy. All right.
Although,
And then he never talked to a minor again. And the end. Happy ending for this guy. You guys know that?
what those Patreon funds went to has been called into question. Like the time he apparently used Patreon money to buy a sex doll and
Well, I mean, listen, you got to enjoy the finer things in life. Am I right?
literally left a review on the sex doll site using his official email.
Why are you so fucking stupid, bro? What? He used his actual email for that? Oh my god.
Let's ignore this for now.
Why wouldn't you just use a fake email? Also, why do you feel the need to tell other people how good the sex doll is? I don't understand. This guy's so weird. I mean, I might do it too. If it was that good, if it was like, wow, this was an experience, then maybe I would have felt inclined to do that.
Because obviously, this is not where the story ended. If the Jormy 49ers have learned anything, it's that a sudden explosion of visibility almost always spells disaster. And this was certainly the case for the newly dubbed Degeneracy Dev, although it did take a pretty long time for things to sour. But speaking of a pretty long time, this actually brings us to the first grievance most people had with Degeneracy Dev. And what I mean by that is that the game's development was taking a pretty long time.
See, if he had released the game already, nobody would have cared about the Predator allegations. None of his fans would. I don't think that they really do.
It seems almost absurd to say that people were criticizing the fact that Yandere Simulator hadn't seen a full release, even back in this time period.
He just wanted all these things to be attributed to him. Not only was he the Yandere Dev guy, but he was also quite literally the best sex doll reviewer that we've ever seen. Incredible.
Considering the fact that now, about 10 years later, it still hasn't been released. But it's true. The game has taken an absolute...
He could have released it. He could have had one that put him in a college, and then you could see the girls, the actual... Why didn't he just make it a college simulator, by the way? Right? Like, one of his things is like, no, this is a world where they're in high school, but they're over 18. Why don't you just make it a college, brother? Why do you make it a high school? You know what I mean? Oh, wait, I know why.
Absolutely redonkulous amount of time to develop, even for such a small development team. But why ever would I say something like that? I mean, after all, with just one single person helming development of a project with so many eyes on it, it could really be that it just takes that long to finish. And who am I, Jormy49, someone with no game development knowledge, to say that the great and glorious
you never worked at GameStop.
Yandere Dev hasn't made sufficient progress on his game during the time he's been at work? Well, my dear Jormy49ers, allow me to read to you just a few of the features that have been added to Yandere Simulator, and I'll see if you can pick up what I'm putting down. Teachers will no longer react to the sight of Yandere-chan throwing a stink bomb if they are guarding a corpse.
What the fuck are those words?
The hair template.png texture in the streaming assets folder has been replaced with new hair texture for Yandere-chan. From now on, any female student with a smile as their default facial expression will no longer smile if Ryoba tries to speak with them if the student has witnessed Ryoba commit murder in the past.
Oh, okay, that's very realistic. That's it? They just won't smile anymore? I would be terrified.
The act of carrying a candle throughout school is now considered a suspicious behavior. Updated the characters page of the official website with new artwork for how rival students. Changed the hairstyle for the 1980s updated the hair model.
Why is he doing like these minor updates? Why is he doing these minor updates instead of actually finishing the game?
Inside the asylum, the art club in 1980s mode now creates unique cherry tree paintings on Friday.
1980s mode? Why are you creating new modes?
Instead of creating the same paintings that they do in the 2020X art club. Thank you, Yandere Dev. That was the one I was waiting for. Whew. Now, you might be thinking that this seems somewhat reasonable, but Jormy49, I hear you say, even if all of those features aren't necessary, isn't it normal there would be many features added over 10 years of development? And I hear you, I really do. But what I just read to you was a small fraction of the features added to the game in 2022, the 9th year of development. Look at the scroll.
Oh, those were all just done in 1 year? What the fuck?
Bar on this
was he working on them for that long?
Page, which is dedicated entirely to cataloging the updates that occurred in 2022 alone. It would take me literal hours upon hours to read them out loud. So yeah, it wasn't really the development of the original project was taking such a long time. It was that Yandere Dev just couldn't resist adding more and more features, to the point that the current demo barely even resembles the original build played by our favorite horror game connoisseurs back in 2015. Honestly, even if I was a super fan of this game, I think I still would have jumped ship as soon as Alex started talking about developing 1980s mode when the original game wasn't even finished. But
I feel like most of his fans were all on it once he implemented the mode where you could take pictures of the girls' panties. Wasn't that the big puller for them?
I digress.
Yeah, he's just shitposting updates.
Eventually, it got to the point where people were convinced Alex was doing his utmost to make sure the game wasn't going to be released. In March of 2017, a video game publisher called TinyBuild entered a partnership with Yandere Dev, in which they agreed to help him polish, promote, and publish the game. However, by 2018,
a bullet was dodged.
it was revealed that the agreement had been abolished for some time due to creative differences between Alex and the company. These would ultimately come down to his insistence on adding hundreds of unnecessary features, which we've already been over. There was also a significant
Yeah, like why wouldn't you just finish the fucking game first?
drama surrounding the termination of the agreement between TinyBuild and Yandere Dev, including that he supposedly finessed them out of $31,000 somehow. I don't really know too much about it, and I won't
Smart guy, dude. I guess they were very malleable and ignorant, or whatever he
be
likes.
going deeper into it. There's a lot of legalese, and I don't feel equipped to handle it. But now, let's get back to discussing how the agreement between TinyBuild and Alex came to an end. One notable thing that irked TinyBuild was Alex's refusal to allow anyone to rewrite his code. This is
I feel like you'd need to completely rewrite it, like the top down, no? Wasn't it just a mess?
significant because it leads us into two more grievances the game's followers had with Yandere Dev. Like a twisted 2-for-1 deal, this deal falling apart is a great demonstration of both Yandere Dev's atrocious programming skills and his complete inability to take any
1980 mode was pretty cool. What does 1980s mode even have in it?
creative criticism, constructive or not. Let's start with the first one. Over the years, Yandere Dev has become infamous for being absolutely terrible at programming. This has been addressed in countless forum posts and long-form YouTube videos over the years, but basically he heavily over-relies on if-else statements, which are extremely inefficient and cripple the loading time of the game. He is also notorious for importing models to the game that are way bigger than they need to be. The best way of demonstrating this to you is to show you the largest file that Yandere Simulator needs to load when you attempt to load in. It's bigger than an entire room, it's bigger than every character model in the game, it's the model that haunts your processor's nightmares. It's a toothbrush. Yeah.
What?
So apparently, Yandere Dev decided to add an extremely high-resolution toothbrush model that was originally intended for like dentist commercial close-ups or something,
Why? Why would you do that?
and it became a symbol to
Why wouldn't you just make this incredibly, just incredibly, I guess small? Because what is like the number of polygons that they use is going to impact how difficult it is to render the scene, right? It doesn't matter how big or small; it's just the number of polygons. It's my understanding. The thing is, it's a toothbrush. You don't need it to be very well detailed. What a fucking idiot! What's up with him and toothbrushes?
the community of just how doo-doo his programming skills are,
Doo-doo!
because this toothbrush alone has caused many a game to crash. Next, we can get into another one of Alex's flaws that has led him to be memed into oblivion and even to be labeled as a lolcow, that being his complete inability to take criticism. Demonstrations of this can range anywhere from him calling someone who doesn't appreciate his design choices either a, quote, young child or mentally handicapped.
I think he wants a young, mentally handicapped child to be with. I think that's probably why he's calling people that.
Classy, to him instantly banning anyone who posts a meme about him in his Discord. The latter of which has even resulted in a popular meme where people speedrun getting banned from his Discord server by sending a single message and waiting just a few seconds for him to kick them out. By the way, as
That sounds kind of boring.
far as I know, the current world record run for getting banned from
It's because he used someone else's randoms. As somebody else's assets. Is that why?
the Yandere Dev Discord is a mere 6 seconds. Wow. Alex's defense
Wow,
for this
I'm
is that it is,
impressed, I
quote,
guess.
exceptionally rare for him to ban someone, and he only does so when it is the mature and intelligent thing to do. Naturally.
Oh,
And while we're on this topic, the most popular memes to send in order to get banned were the "Are you coding, son?" meme, which
It's kind of funny.
poked fun at his immense programming prowess, and the "Consume the cum chalice" meme. The cum chalice meme
What is that? Is that like when Christian puts their cum in orange soda and drinks it or whatever?
originated as a video Alex made back during the Eva Z
He just took everybody else's assets. Did other people make it and then he used them with their permission, or did he just take them?
fun era, in which he was drinking milk from a chalice. This was first made into a meme all the way back in 2010 by YouTuber Dark Pie Man,
That's a funny meme, dude. I would drink milk for the cum memes.
who combined it with the phrase, "I have never had sex." Classic. But unfortunately,
Okay,
we
so
ourselves cannot
stupid.
experience this masterpiece, as Alex has proved our point about him being overly sensitive by copyright striking the video into oblivion.
Damn.
Luckily, the video more recently became a viral GIF, courtesy of tenor user FellaCar69, so we still have these GIFs to enjoy. Thank goodness. Alex's sensitivity and harsh reactions also sparked another viral meme in 2020, which in turn brought on an immense amount of backlash as Twitter turned its ire onto him. You see, over the years, people began to realize that Yandere Simulator was never going to be released, so they began rushing to produce a game similar in concept and essentially steal
That's funny.
Yandere Dev's fans right out from under his chalice-sniffing nose.
Did that ever get released? That's actually pretty funny.
This led to development beginning for projects like Lovesick and Watashi no Mono, both of which were inspired by Yandere Simulator. Obviously, Alex didn't take kindly to this, and I think we can all understand being a bit upset in his position. However, what I personally
I guess, but I mean, again, we're in the age of PAL world. Pokemon didn't want to, deliver something that people wanted, so Somebody else made it with different assets. It is what it is, brother.
Can't understand, is sliding into the Discord DMs of the developers of these projects in order to basically harass them into stopping development.
Why don't you spend more time on developing instead of doing that?
Epic Meal Dev.
I mean, once this guy lost the deal with, what was it, Tiny Build or whatever, that's when you knew he was never going to release anything. Like, once he was working with like a literal, actual big, or some kind of a company, like that was pretty much when you knew it wasn't going to be particularly fruitful.
The developer of Watashi no Mono. Yandere Dev essentially called his project poor quality and said that people were harassing him because Watashi no Mono was so bad that it, as a copy of Yandere Simulator, was reflecting poorly onto the original. But that's nothing compared to his messages with Dr. Ape Is, the developer of Lovesick. Alex said, quote, "If the cost of Yandere Simulator was ending a person's life, I'd cancel development," end quote.
What the fuck?
Which is interpreted by many as him
Is that like a threat of taking his own life?
threatening to commit suicide if
Oh my
Lovesick were to
God.
be released and steal his thunder. This
That one must have been real good if he was that threatened.
led people to start calling out Alex en masse, and the hashtag #RipYandereDev began to trend on Twitter. And although Alex did make a response saying that he never threatened to end his life if Lovesick was released, it was far too late. In the eyes of Twitter, Alex had been quote-unquote cancelled, and that meant that all bets were off. And we all know how scary Twitter can be. The last grievance people had with Yandere Dev that I'll be touching on in this section of the video is that, overall, he's just really creepy. And although this might not be surprising to us after going through his degenerate past as Eva Zifon, down bad streamer extraordinaire,
I guess if you didn't know that information at the time, you would be a little creeped out.
it was something that truly shocked those who had just heard of Alex after Yandere Simulator exploded into the mainstream. Now, obviously, the amount of creepy stuff that surfaced about Yandere Dev in 2023 is one of the worst examples of this, but since we have a whole separate section of the video dedicated to that, for now, I'll be touching on the most overtly creepy things Alex did prior to that. Of course, Alex has made a ton of statements over the years that sound extremely problematic, like when he asked random girls on 4chan to send him sultry and sexy recordings of their voices.
Wait, did he say mature voices? Hold on.
Like when he asked random girls on
Can you do a sultry, sexy, mature voice, or do you specialize exclusively in cutesy girl voices? Ah, okay. So he has a little bit of a mommy thing too sometimes. He's not all predator.
4chan
Predator
to send him
file.
sultry and sexy recordings of their voices, supposedly for inclusion in Yandere Simulator as voice lines.
Maybe.
Sure, Alex. But I can't go through every single thing Yandere Dev has ever said that sounded mildly creepy, which is why I'll move straight to the big guns. As one of the most egregious examples of something you should literally never say to anyone out loud unless it's 100% clear you're telling some kind of joke, Yandere Dev suggested that the age of consent should be replaced by a quote-unquote sex license.
Yes, I remember that. Very interesting stuff, guy. Okay.
That would allow someone to do the hanky-panky thing if they pass a certain test that shows their
Yeah.
maturity.
I don't even know why you would think about that. You know, like, why is that even on your mind? I'm like, you know what? I've been thinking. I feel like we shouldn't really be doing age of consent anymore. There's so many kids being harmed by not being able to have sex with me as an adult. You know, like, where does the thought process even come from? Like, what's the inspiration for this thought?
Now, unfortunately for Yandere Dev, all of us simpletons are clearly too dense to understand what he was cooking up here. Luckily for us, though, he went through the trouble of further elaborating.
Yes,
in a
thank
Tumblr
you.
Post he made
Now
in
I can
response to
understand it.
backlash for these statements. In it, he mentions how someone had asked him if, under his system, say a 14-year-old would be able to obtain a sex license and then fornicate with a grown adult.
I mean, obviously, his answer would be yes to that.
Alex, you're making me get real creative with the vocab here. Well, as Alex puts it, well, obviously, if there's a test that objectively proves that a person is
Well, obviously.
ready for sex, and a person passes that test, then that person is objectively ready for sex.
Well, obviously. Thank you so much.
This is simple logic. I don't even know what to say. I can't help but feel like this post gave Yandere Dev somewhat of an opportunity to cover his tracks and explain away what he said, but I guess he decided that this was the hill he
Well, obviously.
wanted to die on. This license
Okay.
is theoretically open for 14-year-olds. Great. Add it to the record. Now, of course, this wasn't the last thing that Alex said on this subject. He later made another post debunking the claims that he would allow children to obtain a sex license.
Well, then why would you need a sex license if children couldn't get access to it? You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't need it at all. I'm just saying.
Where he clarifies that his theoretical sex test would require you to have things a child would never be able to obtain, like a college diploma or
Well, what? What would be the point if they needed a college diploma? Then you're basically saying you need the age of consent to be raised. So then why would you even want to change this? What?
ownership of a residence. Now, beyond the fact that this is literally contradicted by his own words,
What?
it's also pretty crazy to act
What
like it's a
the
better
fuck?
system to make everyone own a house or
Okay.
graduate college in order to bump uglies. But the Draw My 49ers understand my point, right?
Makes
In the vein
sense.
of Alex being needlessly creepy, there's also the time he was linked to multiple reviews of a sex doll, which he used his Patreon proceeds to purchase. But
I mean, if he's getting paid, you know, it's like, oh, he can use some of his Patreon proceeds to eat food. I don't really care about that. If he was making the video, if he was actually doing the product, I don't think anybody would really care.
I've already mentioned that, so I'll be moving on now. Overall, I think it's abundantly clear to us that Alex has no perception of how things he says or does will come off to other people, and he cannot be trusted with a large platform. This will be emphasized even further in the next section. However, I would like to include one more thing in this section. The infamous video posted by Yandere Dev himself,
Okay.
Hate and Shame. In this baffling animated project, which has since been deleted and re-uploaded due to the original artist denouncing it, Alex portrays himself as a cute anime girl and
Why?
his detractors as little gremlins,
Is he trans?
in order to tell the story that if you say you're on a diet and the gremlins catch you eating candy one day a month, they will compile all the photos of you eating candy in order to make it look like you're always eating candy, making you
Why? What?
seem disingenuous for claiming you're on a diet.
What?
The argument seems sympathetic as he says it, until you actually think about what he's saying. Because it's one thing to have candy once a day when you're trying to lose weight, and it's another thing entirely to say or do something creepy and reprehensible once a month and continue pretending you're not a degenerate.
I'm not understanding the candy thing.
In this video, he's quite literally comparing a cute anime girl being photoshopped by gremlins eating candy to him being criticized for saying children should be able to get a sex license.
Oh, is his argument that since he only has the perspective sometimes, he shouldn't be criticized for it?
I don't know what kind of boy math Alex is doing, but get me on it right now.
It's pretty good boy math.
And this is what I choose to end this section with. I couldn't have possibly found a better instance to fully encapsulate his character and online presence than this video. It almost makes me want to pack things up now and just skip the next part. Almost.
Okay.
Overall, it's safe to say that everything which occurred from 2014 to 2023 coalesced in a very worrying look for both the Yandere simulator and its developer as a whole. Furthermore, it had now been years since the hype surrounding the simulator had fully died. PewDiePie had since died on some bridge in PUBG.
Yeah, I'm sure he died on some bridge.
Markiplier, I think, started baking at some point. I'm just kidding. Follow Justin Sand on Instagram. One thing they weren't doing, though, was playing the same demo for a game which still hadn't seen a proper release in nearly 10 years, and for which development seemed to have no end in sight, especially not
It doesn't even seem to have a fucking start.
one with such a problematic developer. But the problems were really only just beginning, because despite everything, Yandere Dev still had things to lose. He was still obtaining that juicy Patreon
He certainly has no dignity to lose.
money, and there were still people collaborating with him to make Yandere Simulator a reality. But that was quickly about to change. Because if you've heard about Yandere Dev recently, you likely know by now that there really aren't many people still willing to associate with him. The project has been dropping supporters left and right, people are calling en masse for Yandere Dev to sell the rights to another developer so it actually has a chance of releasing before the heat death of the universe, and there have been so many memes on the subject that it made the coffin seem like small potatoes. Is it overkill to reference that game twice in one video? I feel like it's bad. But let's get into how all this drama started. See, in mid-2023,
See, it started with him wanting to fuck a kid. Wanted to fuck a teenager, of course.
Yandere Dev once again entered the internet discourse, with inklings going around on TikTok that he was guilty of being a groomer.
Ooh.
But what they were referring to wasn't the accusation we already went over from back during his Eva Z Fun days. No, this was a fresh allegation, involving several inappropriate messages supposedly exchanged between Alex and a girl who was only 16 years old. And if you're easily
Yeah, but maybe she had a college diploma and a residence, so she got her sex license.
triggered and somehow haven't heard about this situation yet, you might want to just skip to the conclusion.
You guys are too judgmental, okay? You got to think about it that way.
In September of 2023, YouTuber AliMCC posted a video going in-depth on these new allegations, providing screenshots from Snapchat conversations that allegedly took place between Alex and the girl, as well as recordings of Discord calls between the two of them. I feel I should note that, according to AliMCC, nothing illegal occurred across any of these screenshots or recordings. Regardless, they clearly depict Alex discussing mature, inappropriate, and just straight-up gross topics with a girl nearly 20 years younger than him, which led
Jesus
many
Christ.
to, obviously,
Actually, it was only 19 years. Okay.
condemn him. Just to give you an example, there are some screenshots here where Alex
I think it was something like that. What is she, like 16? He was like 35. It's ridiculous.
was discussing how liking someone who is 17 years old is quote-unquote 94.4% okay,
Yes, of course.
because that percentage supposedly represents how close the body of a 17-year-old is to an 18-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, the logic is flawless, guys.
Right.
For a 35-year-old to be spouting.
Another screenshot, which some have found so ludicrous that it's actually funny, involves Yandere Dev saying that because the girl technically had the power to get him cancelled at any time by leaking their messages, she had created a power dynamic in which she had power over him, which was emotionally traumatizing him.
Based? What the fuck? What a fucking weirdo.
She responded with a short and to the
Okay.
point, "I'm 16." Truly, this is the screenshot of all time. Another gem is when, during their Discord call, Alex says that, quote, Mother Nature sexualizes minors through the process of puberty because it gives them adult body parts.
I feel like you're jerking off the kids, brother. I think that's what that means to me.
Mother Nature sexualizes minors. Puberty starts to give breasts and wide hips to children before they turn 18.
I don't know if you should be saying this kind of stuff to a 16-year-old man. However, the video with all these allegations was quickly
Well, you would want to say those things if you're trying to molest them. Then you obviously would want to say that, you know?
taken down due to a copyright strike, which was supposedly filed by the victim. Ali believed that this was the doing of Alex, who was attempting to silence the allegations by not only filing a false copyright strike, but also inadvertently doxing the victim's real name to the entire internet through the YouTube copyright system. Shortly after this, though,
Oh yeah, because if you put in that claim, I think you have to like say what your full name is and stuff to get it undone.
someone claiming to be the victim made a Reddit post about how she had in fact filed the copyright claim herself, and the reason was that she told Ali and
Oh,
MCC not to post the video, and yet she had done it against her will.
interesting.
Ultimately, it's hard for us to confirm the veracity of any of this.
Is that really? Okay, maybe that's true. It's hard to believe. Like, why would you want to work with somebody to expose this guy then? But maybe it's okay.
But given that it is literally illegal to impersonate someone else to file a false copyright claim, and Alex hasn't gone to jail yet, that I know of, many believe he didn't actually do this.
I mean, who's going to pursue that?
But now, let's get into Yandere Dev's various responses to this controversy. To start, on September 25th, 2023, he posted a blog post titled, I'm sorry. In this post, Alex repeatedly stated that, when facing a controversy like this, he would ordinarily go on a long diatribe explaining how in each and every instance, the conversation was taken out of context and he didn't mean to do anything wrong. But at the end of the day, he recognized that he should never be in a situation where he is saying these things to a minor nearly 20 years younger than him. Because of this, he completely understood why people wanted to cease their association with him and step away from the
Wow, what a mature response to a guy accused of talking to immature people sexually.
project, and that he wouldn't hold any of them back. Just a few days later, on October 1st, he made another post titled Moving Forward. He provided in this post a sort of explanation for how things had gotten to the point where something like this would happen, and his largest justification was that his judgment had been clouded and he had become a worse person due to
Because he was a sad boy. You know, when I get sad, sometimes you get so sad you just want to talk to kids, man. It's just... It's just a part of life, you know?
the fact that he had been working on Yandere Simulator 16 hours a day, and he hadn't left his house since an
Oh, yeah, I'm
anime
sure.
convention in 2019.
Oh my god.
Ultimately, this obviously
Sounds like a you problem, brother.
doesn't change anything. Regardless of whether or not these shut-in otaku world record pace statistics are true, Alex still did what he did. Honestly, his explanation here is very reminiscent of his past behavior as Eva Zephon, when, while he was criticized for his weird worldview and odd behavior on the forums, he brought up his difficult childhood and how he didn't go outside a lot. But regardless, he then
Well, you think that he would have learned to go outside at that point. He's a grown man. Just walk outside, brother.
moves on to discussing the future of the project, mentioning that he would be considering selling the Yandere Simulator IP to a video game development company, but only as a last resort. He also promised to take some time away from
I feel like this would be the time to do that. This is the resort, you know?
development, seek therapy, and maybe be a teensy bit less terminally online. All of which are good things, of course, but it might be too little too late at this point. Regardless, despite the overwhelming amount of backlash Yandere
I mean, if somebody's willing to buy the thing, that's probably the only thing that he could do now. Get a real job and sell the IP for hopefully enough money and just move on. I mean, this guy, there's no way he's going to... Well, he might be able to come back. I feel like some of his fans probably aren't going to care because they're all fucking weirdos anyway.
Dev was facing at this point, there was still some positivity left for him on the internet. Many fans were happy to see him actually taking accountability for once. These allegations were so serious that he had broken the infamous Alex Man cycle. Instead of doubling down and lashing out at everyone around him, he had instead admitted how atrociously bad he had messed up and promised to better himself. And with that, he was largely silent, until the big one.
Wait, he says something else?
January 1st, 2024. Alex decided to start the new year by making a splash. On the very first day of the year, he posted a monolith blog post and a YouTube video to go along with it,
Oh, yeah, we reacted to that YouTube video. I thought there was like something else new.
where he actually stands in front of the mic and spits directly to us instead of hiding behind an anime girl and gremlins and whatnot.
Wow.
And yet,
What
it
a real
still
man.
wasn't received very well.
No kidding, huh? Usually justifiers for talking to young teenagers aren't received particularly well.
Let's just get directly into the video. I think the best way to demonstrate to you the overall vibe of this video is to show you this meme I found on Twitter.
Hello, I'm Yandere Dev, the developer of Yandere Simulator. Last year, an extremely serious allegation was made about me that I would like to address. The
All right.
accusation is that I attempted to groom an underage fan of my game. I will take accountability and admit that I did discuss inappropriate topics with
Oh, God.
the fan.
Yeah, it doesn't take very long for Yandere Dev to basically admit that the conversations were real. However,
Yes, I did talk to that child, but she was cute.
what follows is essentially the opposite of admitting wrongdoing. A large part
Well, the girl groomed him. That's right. That's what happened, man. You got to be careful. The young girl groomed him. She's the dangerous one.
Of the video's runtime was actually Alex trying to contextualize the inappropriate conversations he had with the girl, and describing how Ali MCC had basically coached her into coaxing out creepy statements from him in order to get him cancelled.
Well, you know what helps is to not have this conversation in the first place, and then you can't really get coaxed into anything, huh?
And look, I understand if you think that's a scummy
Why?
thing to do, but at the end of the day, you are the one who fell for it. Even if we take Alex at his word and assume that it is 100% confirmed that Ali had it out for him and tried to trick him into speaking inappropriately with a minor, why on earth was she successful? As many have pointed out, there is no reason for Yandere to continue speaking to the girl as soon as he learned she was 16 years old, and even if he was dead set on continuing to be friends with her, nobody held him hostage and forced him to say things about how being 17 is really similar to being 18, or how minors are sexualized by nature. That just didn't happen.
Mommy nature's a groomer, dude.
I'm sorry. So, was this video a game changer for Yandere Dev? I would say not. Honestly,
I mean, it probably appealed to some of his fans. They were probably like, oh, you know what? That makes sense because I'm also a fucking weirdo.
would actually say that this video made things worse for him. In his very first response to the situation, the I'm sorry blog post, Alex made sure to say he wouldn't go through the allegations and contextualize them one by one, because he accepted that he had messed up and that was all there is to it.
I thought he said by the end he was going to make a future video or something.
This video shows that none of that was genuine, and that he had intended all this time to come back at a later date and do just that. But clearly, Alex had similar feelings about the video's failure to win people over, because within literally 5 days of uploading it, he pulled the video from the internet. Which is why I had to use footage from Turkey Tom's video for this section.
Oh shit.
Thanks, man. Up top. And
what the fuck? What? Was that me?
Well, now Yandere Dev's kind of gone back to the same old, same old. He's continuing to upload development updates to the blog, and is basically acting like none of this ever happened. In fact, he posted a few updates just a few days before writing this script. So where then does this leave us? Ultimately, I think this comment on Alex's January 15 development update is a pretty good way of summing up the entire Yandere Dev era. As Velashores rightfully asks, "Hey Yandere Dev, I have a question for you. On Discord, most of the time when someone tried to contact you or message you, you most of the time say, 'I'm too busy building the game.' But the question I have for you is why you just felt to talk to that one girl. I mean, you said she sounded funny, but if most of the people that contacted you, would you continue talking to them?"
Well, you have to understand, they're not teenage girls. Duh.
A wordsmith, he is not. But he brings up a good point. Alex is a hypocrite. He constantly claims to be too busy to respond to fans, but does so.
Well, he's probably too busy jerking off to... Okay, enough.
And it's a young
Okay,
girl
sorry.
he could easily get in trouble for talking to. He also refuses to accept help to reduce how busy he is, and generally improve the quality of his game, which leads to his problems compounding upon themselves. And the sooner that he realizes that, and the sooner that he gets off the internet and is able to receive some real, genuine support from people who care about him, the better. But what do I know? I've just been
Man, I don't care about that second part, just the first. What the fuck?
your host, Jormy49. What a ride, and good night.
Okay.
And stay safe, Jormy49ers. I love you all, but not in a weird way. Oh, and thank you for sticking with me through this long video, if anybody is still actually here. I wanted to go through the entire story and do it justice, but obviously that took quite a bit of time, making this, I think, my longest video yet. So if you're still here, thank you, I appreciate it. Leave a comment about what you thought. Subscribe.
It's a pretty good video. I liked it. I'll give it a little like.